Hey class, so for this assignment we're going to be using the pendulum rig. So let's go to File and Create Reference and choose the Ultimate Pendulum rig. You can find this online with the set of Ultimate rigs, and I'll have the link below. Now, like all of the other rigs that we've been using, the main controller is on the ground. And with this controller, you can control things like global scale. I think the scale is okay for right now, but if you do ever want to change it, that's how you would change it. There's 3 different pendulum types. So there's normal, then there's mace. This one's a little on the gray side, or there's the UFO. This is the one that I think has the most personality. It's really fun and it has lots of nice colors, so that's what I'm going to use. All right, so once you've set what type it is and its global scale, then we can go into our side view and just create our first shot cam. So I'm going to go to View and Create Camera from Selected and double click that in the outliner and call it Shot Cam. Now before we get animating, I just want to take a look at the controls. So let's go back to our perspective view, and I'm going to click outside of the model and just click and drag on that control at the top. And this is our main control. You can see in the channel box layer editor that it allows us to translate Z, so that's forward and back, and also translate Y, which is up and down, and then we can rotate it forward and back in the X direction. So that's it for this control. You can't scale, you can't even move left or right. So it's kind of nice that it's simple. The next control down, very simple as well. All you can do is rotate in the X and Y direction. So that's just moving this control forward and back. And that's exactly the same with all of the other controls. So if you select them all at the same time, and now you rotate, it does create this nice kind of arcing curve using all of the controllers. So that's also very helpful too. Or you can just move them individually, which you'll be doing as well. Okay, so now that we know how these controls work, I'm just going to zero this one out. So remember that you can always go back to your channel box layer editor and zero them out. So let's set a keyframe so that we can use auto key. So I'm going to go back to my panels and my shot cam, and I'm going to start this all the way to the left of my screen, and it's just going to move from left, accelerate, and then settle. So I'm just going to grab that control, hit S to set, and do the same thing with the other controls. All right, now I'm going to go over to frame 26, and let's move this all the way across the screen and press S to set, or actually since I have auto key on, it has already automatically set it. I'm just going to hit play to make sure that the speed and the timing looks good, which it does, so I think that's fine. So now we can go to frame 1, and I'm thinking about frame 8 is when the acceleration should have kicked in, and my little pendulum will be moving at top speed. So it'll take about 8 frames to get going. And so I'm just going to set these at like -30. So that looks like a nice pose for top speed. So it's going to maintain this pose all the way until it stops, which will be around frame 26. Actually, sometimes I like to cheat it just a hair earlier, just because there will be some ease out at the end here. So if we set these keys on frame 25, it'll make the resulting swings look more natural. Okay, so now that it's stopped, we're going to have the tail follow through on frame 33 so that it swings forward with all that momentum. About 6 frames later, we're going to have it swing backwards again. And it's going to swing lower than the forward momentum because gravity is taking hold. We'll go forward maybe 5 more frames, 4 more frames, to swing forward again. Do another 4 or 5 frames for it to swing back. Go forward another 4 frames for just a very tiny swing. And then I do need to see some more frames. So we'll just have these 2 very tiny back swings as our tail is settling. So basically we accelerated, we used all our momentum, the top ended its movement, and the follow through makes all of the different swings forward and back. Now just hitting play, because I was guessing on these initial swings, I'm noticing that it's very, very fast. So no problem. It's really easy to change. So I'm just going to grab all those controls, and remember you can left click, hold down shift, left click in the timeline and drag, and then use this tiny little arrow on the right hand side to pull these out, and then hit snap. And so that's going to slow down the number of frames. So it's still pretty fast, but I'm going to do this one more time. So grab all these controls, hold down shift, left click, click and drag, and then I can move them or scale them over. So I think I did a little bit of both. And then make sure that you're hitting snap to make sure that the keys are snapping to a whole number. And that looks a lot better. Okay, so now let's try and add some overlap. So we're going to grab this first controller only, hold down shift, left click and drag to grab all of these frames just for this control, and I'm going to move them 2 frames to the right. And then I'm going to grab the next control underneath it, or I can grab both of those. Shift, left click, click and drag, and then move these 2, 3, 4 over to the right. So now that they should start at 5. And then I'm going to grab just the last control, shift, left click and drag, and then move that 2 frames to the right. So now they should be offset. So the top control starts frame 1, the second control starts at frame 3, 5, and then 7. And now you can see that that just offset, put that little bit of drag, so nothing is ending at exactly the same time. There's one more little trick I'm going to do is with this very top control, I'm just going to cut it from frame 27 and move it to frame 25, just so that when the robot is slowing down in its actions, that it starts to respond just a frame earlier, so it doesn't seem like it's hovering in the air so much. Okay, and then it has a nice settle at the end. All right, so I think that's it for this demo. Please use this pendulum in all different exercises and enjoy.